Namaste. On behalf of the New York Ganesh Temple, I want to warmly welcome all of you to Akshayam's unique learning series, session number 34. We are live on Facebook and YouTube at NY Ganesh Temple, and we have a great hour planned for you to learn a little bit more about how the temple services were impacted due to the pandemic, and what the temple has done on behalf of the community to pray for a speedy recovery that we may not know about. We're also going to be talking a little bit about Ganesh Chaturthi and how we're going to be celebrating it this year with all the safety regulations in place. And then also a little bit about what Akshayam, the young professionals team, has been doing. I'll be interacting with Sivasri Ravi Vaidyanaat Sivachariyar for the next hour, who is the Director of Religious Services at the New York Ganesh Temple. Before I go into the session, I want to welcome Sivasri Ravi Vaidyanaat Sivachariyar, who will start off the session with an introductory prayer.
Namaste. Sadha Shivasamarambham Sri Kanthacharya Madhyamam Asmad Acharya Paryantam Vandhe Guru Paramparam Lambhodaram Shamatanum Ganesham Kutharamakshasruja Murdhvakabhyam Saladdugam Dandamadakarabyam Vametarabhyam Chadadanamidhe Om Sri Mahavallabha Ganapataye Namaha Namaste Vignarajaya Bhaktanam Vignaharine Abhaktanam Visheshena Vignakartre Namo Namaha Vagarta Viva Sambrukto Vagarta Pratipattaye Jakatah Pitaro Vande Parvati Parameshwaro Arihi Om.
Thank you, Sivachariyar Uncle, for joining us this afternoon. Sivasri Ravi Vaidyanaat Sivachariyar is a learned scholar on Agama Sastras and Saiva Siddhanta, and we appreciate him being here with us today. We invite everybody in the audience to comment on Facebook and ask your questions. Towards the end of the session, we'll leave some time for audience question and answer. So our mind is linked with emotions, bhakti or devotion, and philosophical thinking, jnana. Any emotion is nurtured when it is expressed by action. Prayer or worship is an action when one expresses his or her devotion and symbolizes recognition of Ishvara, or the Brahman, in his or her life as an invisible hand of grace. It is believed that God's grace and blessings are so very important as it enables one to live a peaceful life. Prayer and worship gives us mental satisfaction that is so very important, especially given the current circumstances. If so, what is the best place to offer prayer and worship? It is the temple, we can argue. One can do prayer at home too, but it may not be fully comfortable. People might not be fully comfortable performing it at home or knowledgeable to do so. The temple offers a great atmosphere to do prayer and worship. You walk in and you feel that sense of energy within. There's a sense of stillness, but you can still sense the flow of energy, which is so beautiful. But for us to understand how COVID-19 has really impacted temple services, we need a quick introduction to what temple services actually are traditionally. So, Sivachariyar Uncle, can you tell us a little bit about what entails temple worship and temple services?
Thank you, Abhirami. See, we should first understand, as you said, what temple services are generally defined, how it is defined. It is simply known as pujo upachara. Puja upachara means worship or submit our respect through certain action or through certain rituals. So what Agama says with this is Puryante sarvakarmani jayate jnanamatmani purnat jayate yasmat puja sapta ihochyate. You will not find the word puja in a dictionary to find out what is its equivalent English name, because puja, it's an abbreviated word. So that is why here it gives you the abbreviation. So puja means puja is the first name. Puryante sarvakarmani jayate jnanamatmani. So puja is a system of worship that signifies the fulfillment of certain prescribed rituals. That's why it is Puryante Sarva Karmani, all rituals, and obtainment of knowledge of the divine. So that is why it is Jayate Jnanamatmani. A combination of this, as per Karanagama, he says puja. So Puryante Sarvakarmani Jayate Jnanamatmani. That's how it goes. There are a lot of rituals, so many rituals which constitute this puja. And I told you initially it is a puja upachara. So when the puja itself comprises combination of different rituals, there are a lot of rituals which is performed by priests themselves, and some rituals which is done by the devotees. So which is why the second part is called as upachara. See, there are normally you would have heard in the temple they used to do panchopachara, saptopachara, dashopachara, like the maximum sodas upachara. That means 16 upacharas priest will perform by himself, apart from doing the daily pujas. But there are 64 upacharas. So out of which only 16 is done by priests. All the rest have to be done only by the devotees. So we all put together, we do it. And what are all those? And I will not list out the whole 64, but at least what we normally do in any temple, and people are also familiar with, apart from what priest does it, like invoking or providing an abhishekam or alankara or naivedya and offerings, which are all exclusively done by priest. Plus, as I told you, 16 upacharas. The other upacharas are like, for example, darshanam. Darshanam means the seeing or having a sight of the Lord, or aspiring to see. Then it is dhyana. Dhyana means anyone can think about the God or contemplate about various deities or meditate upon deities, which is actually done by every devotees who are coming to the temple. Then comes mantras, chanting of mantra. Of course, chanting of mantra from Vedic text. So this mantras you must have heard during Abhishekam. All the devotees, whoever is familiar with, they can join the priest and chant together. Like during Abhishekam, we chant Rudram, Chamakam, Purusha Suktam. All those things are chanted along with the devotees. Then using mudras. Mudras is not only every deity will show some mudras. Even priests also will apply some mudras. And devotees also will mudras, like showing Namaskara mudra and showing, Samarpana mudra or, Sashtanga mudra. There are a lot of bodily actions are shown as a mudra to the God. Then there is a Sravanam. So Sravanam is hearing spiritual talks or Vedic lectures. Like now what we are hearing, these kind of lectures are being held at the temple. We just hear it. It's not necessarily one should be familiar with Veda, so we hear it. Then Kirtanam. Kirtanam is something like, bhajan. So everyone, whoever is familiar with or who has got some knowledge, they can sing. So they can sing bhajans. Then Smaranam. Smaranam is chanting some stotras, where you don't need to be a musician to chant a stotra, or you to chant some slokas, or to chant certain mantras. You don't need to be a musician or which raga or which tala and all, not necessary. So that is one. Then seva. Seva is to serve, because a lot of people gather there, and you can serve the Lord, you can serve the priest, you can serve the people, you can serve public, like that. You can do a lot of serving in the temple. Then Archana. That's what everybody, when they come to the temple, if people wanted to do Archana, to come and pray to the Lord. Then Dasyam is purely a volunteering, which is anything that whoever is familiar with any specialities with them, and if it is going to be of helpful to the temple's activities, they can volunteer in those areas. Then Vandanam. Vandanam is to do Pradakshina Namaskara. We don't know how to sing. I don't know what is the Vedic chant. I don't know how to sing sloka. I don't know bhajan. I have no time to do volunteering. Still okay. I don't know what Archana means, but still I can come and go around, do a Pradakshina. Still you are in the vicinity of the energy. And then after doing the Pradakshina Namaskara, you can do Sakyam. Sakyam is something known as surrender. I come to surrender myself in front of the deity. Then the lastly is Atma Nivedana. Atma Nivedana means offering myself to the Lord. How do I offer? Through bhakti or through devotion or through the Deva Chintana. Deva Chintana means always thinking about the God. Or some people purely looking at soul realization or moksha or mukti, things like that. So these are all the various things where one cannot do it at home. So they obviously look for a temple. So temple has got all the options. And that's why, people something, is it only priest does? It's not just the priest alone doing the puja or upachara. It is every person, irrespective of any, whether he believe in faith or not. Everyone who, when they are entering to the temple premises, obviously they'll be doing one of this. So that means they are involved into this thing. Of course, Agama gives you the full rules and regulations, and it creates the procedures. It's also called a Siddhanta Sastra or a Tantra Sastra, how a priest have to perform, how a devotee has to perform. Everything is being told into that. And of course, by doing all these things, the Vigraha get energized and it is radiated through the Vigrahas, and this energy can be felt by vibration. And we can feel the cosmic energy when you do any of this. Sure. I hope I've explained you.
Yes, definitely. Thank you very much. That was very elaborate. So you've mentioned a few things. You've mentioned that anybody can come into the temple, or any soul really can come into the temple and immediately feel that sense of energy. And there has to be some way in which that energy, that cosmic energy, is preserved and the vibrations are sent out to the vicinity or whatever space that you're talking about. And we know that this temple performs its worship according to the Agama system of worship. Can you talk a little bit about how this Agama system of worship is played out at the temple specifically, and how that contributes to this preservation of this cosmic energy?
Okay. So we just, as I told you, there are different ways and means of doing it. But still, I told you, Agama prescribed certain rules and regulation and guidelines in performing it. It is basically divided into, in a micro level, it is divided into three areas of performance of this ritual. One is called as Nitya, then Naimittika, and Kamya Pujas. So there are three ways of, it is being segregated into three. And Nitya means it is something done every day, every moment, constantly, or it is done always or permanently. It is called as Nitya. The second one is called Naimittika. Naimittika is, it has got a periodically certain things, like weekly schedules or fortnightly or monthly or yearly, like that. That is called as Naimittika. Then the third one is Kamya Pujas. Kamya Pujas are done occasionally or at will. So out of these three, barring the Kamya Pujas, the first two can never be stopped. At any cost, it has to be performed. It has to be conducted. Of course, this Nitya Naimittika also applies to personal. We'll come to that later. Even in our personal life, it has some impact. But similarly, in the temple pujas, we cannot stop Nitya Naimittika pujas at any cost as per the Agama.
Okay, great. So what if something like COVID happens, like a pandemic, and there are physical and obvious barriers to performing these? So what do we do in those kind of situations like we're facing now?
Okay. So these things can happen not only because of COVID, even in any other cases, things can happen. There are, for that also there is a provision in Agama. It says what happens if various kinds of interruption or hindrance happens, which can happen even in normal course of day-to-day activities also it can happen. Or it can happen like this pandemic, which we do not know how long it's going to have impact. So if something happens between this Nitya Naimittika pujas, and obviously it is going to, because when I said that energy and all, it's going to have an impact on the energy. If the sacredness or the sanctityness or the spiritual energy is going to have an impact, that means it's going to affect the whole atmosphere. So that is one of the reason Agama says at any cost, Nitya Naimittika puja cannot be stopped. It has to happen, but there is some relaxation. As I told you, there are 64 upacharas. We can, what is best possible, within the given situation, we have to do it. Minimum Nitya Pujas have to be conducted in a small scale level. And Lord Shiva has actually narrated in the Agama what all the different, whether we have to decide whether it is it's due to religious impurities, or it could be an offensive action, or it could be a violation during a puja, or it could be a negative consequences which can happen. It could be a dropout also. And maybe when I say it's a dropout during our execution of thing, of course, whatever I say, it is a non-intentional or non-criminal, non-transgressive, or it could be even nature of God, like this pandemic or disease outbreak. So for all these things, there are, Lord Shiva has said about expiation or atonement is described in the Agama Shastra, and we go as per that. We do all the rites and rituals to the extent possible. Even in our day-to-day activities or this kind of outbreak, there is something known as Prayachitta. So there is a separate chapter in Agama which talk about Prayachitta Vidhi, and we do consider all this thing, so that if anything happens doing like omissions and commissions are all covered. In fact, if you see, every year we do Pavitrotsava, and Pavitrotsava does cover all omission and commission, non-intentional things. Sometimes we some scarcity also happens, or like people cannot come, and that means that darshanam cannot happen. If people are not there, the darshanam is not happening, and bhajans are not happening, things like that. No, so there are certain things which happen, but we continue to do the Nitya Puja and do a Prayachitta Pujas and Pavitrotsavas also annually. So that covers major thing. It is, of course, in the Prayachitta Vidhi, there are a lot of Santi Japam, Santi Homams, and sprinkling of sacred water, and the sprinkling of Panchagavya. So many things are said which we perform even on a normal course, and we do it more time during this outbreak time.
Sounds good. Okay, so it's really nice to hear about this Pavitrotsava and the purification ritual, which usually happens on an annual basis, but specifically how it relates to the situation we're facing now. But to my understanding, the temple has done a lot more than we have seen, that we have displayed on live stream to pray for recovery. So what kind of prayers has the temple performed so that we can get out of this situation as quickly as possible, that the temple has done on behalf of the community? Okay.
You see, in view of this kind of unpredictable situation, there is no certainty. We do not know when it is going to end. We will call it as a unpredictable situation time, especially like this kind of pandemic. We are confined at homes, and we could not reach the temple, and similarly, temple cannot reach the community. So we have to find still some via medias. So what initially temple started doing is, we are also now worried about the welfare of all the living beings. In fact, Hinduism talk about all living entities, not only human beings, even other animals, plants, everything should not, of course, this pandemic may not affect animals and the plants and trees, but temple is concerned. The pujas is prescribed in such a way that we take care of all the living entities in the planet Earth. So what we do, as per the recommendation of Agama, we have done several pujas, japa, homam, which is not normally done in a regular way in our temple. Okay, like this Kamya pujas, we have done so many pujas, which including every day, morning and evening chanting of Sri Vaidyanaat Ashtakam. We have been chanting every day. We have been chanting Sri Sitala Ashtakam, both morning and evening, and Sri Indrakshi Stotram, which is also being chanted. Then Agora Astra Mantra, which is a very, very powerful mantra of Lord Shiva, which is being done, and Mahamrutyunjaya Japam, which is also done every day, and Pratyangira Astra Mantra Japam. Like these are all recommended thing in the Agama, which we have been doing every day, non-stop. We have been doing it all this time. And not only that, beyond this, since it is this specific unpredictable situation not only prevailing in one location, now it prevails the entire earth, everywhere. We see it in all continent. This outbreak is felt globally. I'll put it like that. So people are worried, and we are also worried about people across the globe. So we thought, let us do something. So how do we reach people so that they can offer prayer? So we created digital connections. So that's where our thank God we already had certain infrastructure which were already available, and trying to use the existing infrastructure. How do we connect with the people in terms of we don't want darshanam to be missed by the people. So darshanam means they can see abhishekams, they can see the prayers, they can see festival pujas, even if it is done in a low-key basis. Still, we wanted people to have a view. They can do the prayers sitting at home, so that globally everyone will have access. Of course, thanks to this live streaming facility that we had, people across the globe had an opportunity. Earlier, when we conduct here, only the local people comes. Occasionally, from the other states and city people come. But now, every day, people are watching it across the globe, and we also do every day, especially evening, which we'll talk in detail about the online chanting, which we have been doing it. A lot of people have expressed that they got healed by hearing this prayers and chantings and things like that. So I think we have done the best possible thing within the given infrastructure and facilities. Of course, we still added more and more facilities to reach people there. People are able to see everyday abhishekams almost, and everyday prayers done in the evenings, and everyday Sarva Devata Aarti. And all these are also explained to people. It's not just they are watching. So we also explain them what they are seeing, and why that particular sloka was chosen on that day, and what kind of remedial or what kind of healing that mantra can give us. All these things were explained. And we also ensured that devotees from their home can join with us and do it. And those who missed it, we had a facility that it is always stored in the website. They can retrieve it back, and they continue to chant from their home. Yes.
Definitely. If I can echo what you're saying a little bit, just based on the accounts that I've heard from the devotees about the power of this online chanting and prayer, the power of group prayer, especially for certain circumstances, including and especially COVID and other things that we're dealing with. This power that we're all in it together, and despite all the things that are changing outside in the world around us, there's one thing that's constant in our lives, which is God. And there's one thing that's constant in our lives, which is prayer. And every night at 6:30, especially since we were at the epicenter of the crisis in Queens, New York, there's one thing at 6:30, if I go onto Facebook, this online chanting and prayer will be there. And that was a great sense of strength for all these people to log in, not just from New York, but as you rightly said, from all over the country. But, people like myself, we really want to get into the temple and we want to have darshan as quickly as possible. We've been at home for a few months, and given the current circumstances and the CDC guidelines and the state's recommendations, we would love for people to come in and get darshan themselves.
Yes.
And we know that the temple has done a lot to make sure that everybody is safe when they get into the temple. But we've prepared a quick little video just to show how safe it is and the proper steps that people should take as they come into the temple to perform an archana or to get darshan. So if you may, can we play that video so that everybody can see?
Namaste. We've implemented a number of safety practices at the New York Ganesh temple based on CDC guidelines to keep our devotees and temple staff safe during this pandemic. Let's take you on a quick tour of the temple to see just how safe it is for you to have darshan, and you can also perform archana for any of the pradhana deities. Please use the gate at 4557 Bound Street to enter the temple. Read the signboard. It tells you all the instructions and timings, and it's actually subject to change, so please stay tuned by watching the website for the exact timings. At the entrance, a security officer will welcome you and give you a few instructions. Please wear a mask or face covering and maintain that social distancing of 6 feet. If you don't have a mask, the security officer will provide one for you. please write your name and contact information in the register kept near the gate. Use your own pen or use a sanitized pen kept on the table. After using the pen, please drop it in the bin marked as unsanitized pens so they can be sanitized for use later. Please do not carry any bag or backpack. Leave your bag at the designated place at your own risk. Please wait in the tent for your turn. Chairs are provided inside the tent. If there are other devotees inside the temple, you may have to just wait for a few minutes to enter the temple, and we appreciate your patience and cooperation for that. So remove your footwear and wash your hands with soap at the foot-operated water tap that you can find at the bottom, and use the automated hand sanitizing liquid to cleanse your hands. If you bring any offerings, such as fruits or flowers, please leave them at the red bin. They'll be sanitized and then brought in afterwards. When you're called to enter the temple, please stand in front of the automated safe scan system, which will detect your temperature and also check if you're wearing a mask. The system will caution both by text and by voice if your temperature is abnormal, resulting in denial of entry into the temple. You're now ready to enter the Mahamandapam. The security officer will show you a different entrance if you need a wheelchair. If you are sick and have symptoms like fever, cough, sore throat, diarrhea, muscle ache, shortness of breath, or difficulty breathing, or have recently traveled to any of the states on New York's quarantine list, or also from any other high-risk countries, please do not enter the temple. If you wish to perform an Archana, we advise you to book the Archana online at the temple's website, nyganeshtemple.org, before coming into the temple. This is a simple, easy, safe process, and the Archana tickets can also be purchased at the information counter if needed. Please show the confirmation email or the ticket to the priest who will perform the Archana and give you the prasadam. For other services booked online, please collect your prasadam at the counter. When inside the Mahamandapam, please do not touch anything with your hands, including any deities, materials, puja items, sannidhi walls, and steps. Also, please do not socialize or interact with others, including the priests. Please follow the signs and markings inside the Mahamandapam and have a peaceful darshan. If someone is offering prayer in front of any sannidhi or shrine, please wait for your turn. If required, you can ask for pre-packed vibhuti and kumkum prasad at the information counter while leaving the premises. We pray for peace and safety of everyone in this present pandemic situation. Please help us and cooperate by following the safety regulations and practices at this time.
So that was a little video about how people can be safe and still have darshan and do Archana. So Sivachariyar uncle, as you can see, since you are at the temple, it is pretty safe for us to come in and have darshan.
Yes, with the grace of Lord Mahavallabha Ganapati, all of us are safe at the temple, and we are here to do all the pujas, and we take care of all the CDC guidelines, and not only temple priests, all including temple staff, counter staff, cooks, everyone. We ensure that they are all properly taken care.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. We were really concerned that the temple should never close, and whatever has been happening, we were so heartwarmed to see the temple still continuing its rituals, and that you were all hale and healthy. And so that's a great boost for us as well. So thank you. So Sivachariyar uncle, before we go into the final question to talk about Ganesh Chaturthi and how it's going to be celebrated, which is going to be starting this Friday, can I take a few minutes of your time to talk a little bit about Akshayam and the professionals team?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm going to be sharing my screen, and let's talk a little bit about this team in particular that has organized this learning series. Okay. So I think everybody can see my screen. So Akshayam is a young professionals team at the New York Ganesh Temple, which organized this learning series. It's a team of young volunteers with a shared interest in seeing this temple and our Sanatana Dharma not only survive, but thrive through the test of time and cultural and societal evolution. We hope to see these authentic traditions and rituals being passed on to future generations, as its purpose goes far beyond just witnessing the act in the temple. The way a ritual can connect you and I to the divine is something that is truly special, and unfortunately one that many of my generation doesn't really understand or appreciate, including myself when I first started. But I can quite confidently propose that if you are receptive to the power ancient traditions hold and the benefit you will receive by following the practices in whatever shape or form you may desire. We're not saying you have to do this, but in whatever shape or form you desire, you yourself will be witness to this magic. And that leads me to the next point. A very popular misconception about Akshayam is that before you join this team, you need to be religious. You need to be knowledgeable about the rituals. You need to somehow know how to chant all of the mantras and shlokas. And you need to be knowing, let's say, about the Bhagavad Gita or something like that. I'm here to tell you that that couldn't be further from the truth. I will be the first one to tell you that because I interact with so many people with so many different backgrounds and upbringings and values that the team members hold and bring towards that bring to the table. And that's one of the most interesting parts of this dynamic. And it's one of the things that actually helps the team progress forward. We're very comfortable hearing about each other's viewpoints because all of our conversations and activities are rooted in a mutual respect for each other and desire to work together to achieve this goal, to sustain and promote our temple and our faith. Anecdotally, when I joined Akshayam a few years ago, I barely even knew what the tradition was about. I was born and brought up in the States, and there wasn't really a Hindu school that I can go to besides the Ganesh Padashala on the weekends. I had all of my early schooling in Catholic school, and yes, I did attend Padashala on the weekends to learn about the epics and learn how to say the shlokas and such. But it was definitely not until I joined Akshayam in which I was able to explore my Hindu identity. And that's the message that I want to impress upon all of you here today. It is a journey that you carve for yourself. It's not a mold that we need you to fit into or that you should fit into. No one will say you are less Hindu than I am because of such and such reason, because this kind of statement will raise the fundamental question of who is really a Hindu, the answer to which we can save for another time. Akshayam is a platform for you to explore your own Hindu identity. No, you do not have to be religious to join. No, you don't need to know how to chant. No, you don't need to know about the Bhagavad Gita. I strongly encourage everyone to actually question your ideas and practices that were dictated to you earlier in your life by the people that grew up with you. It is not with malintent that we question, but rather in an effort to gain deeper understanding so that we can connect to the Dharma in a more customized way. To be part of Akshayam, all you need is interest and a desire to serve your community, because that is mostly what we do. We are very active outside of the temple, serving. And with that being said, you actually don't even have to be part in New York to participate. I have participated many times from Boston, and many of my teammates can tell the same story. A lot of our meetings are via Zoom and conference calls, and we meet every few months in the temple in New York. So everyone is welcome. So here are a few images that I want to share about Akshayam, some of the activities we've been doing since COVID and also before, since we formed back in 2016, to give you a taste of the varied interests. So Akshayam on the top left, you can see if you're interested in religious rituals and being part of temple activities in particular, you can see some of the Akshayam members carrying Ganesha and the Prakarotsava. Earlier this season, July 4th, we celebrated in the top of the screen, we celebrated our 43rd temple anniversary celebrations, which was Akshayam took a part in that and provided the technical aspects of putting all of the 6 deities in one screen for all of us to have darshan. We do a lot of cultural shows, and on the bottom left, you can see one of our Akshayam members helping a young child participate in the children's puja. So we're not only learning ourselves, but we're trying to teach it to the next generation as well. This is an Anubhava conference in the bottom middle of the screen, in which it's an annual conference we do to bring together like-minded people to talk about Hinduism in the next 50 years. and how Hinduism, what is the Hinduism going to be looking like when we have an active partnership or membership in that realm. And then we are operating the temple's Instagram page. And I'll talk a little bit more about this later. But on the left side, we can see one of the doctors who is heavily involved in COVID care, how Akshayam has played a role in donating food on behalf of the temple, from the temple canteen for the first responders. So the next image, we also take part in interfaith activities. You can see pictures of us with AJC, the Jewish committee, to host a Shabbat dinner on Friday night. We help out in the canteen whenever there's a crowd, and also on the weekends. We, as I mentioned before, cultural activities, and Akshayam has done Anubhava conferences. If you're an artist, you can contribute that way. There's a picture of this young child who's doing Satyanarayana Puja, in which Akshayam is helping to guide him on how to do that. And we also have lots of fun doing that. And the interesting thing, you can see the Patel brothers cart there. Actually, during COVID, Akshayam was responsible for supplying a lot of the groceries for the elders in our community because of obvious reasons. They were not able to come outside and purchase the groceries and get their medications. So we stepped up and we did that for them. I mean, we have in one of these halls at Patel Brothers, we got about 15 carts full of vegetables, and we dropped them off at these houses. So that was great. Now talking about COVID, and specifically, we had a COVID memorial that Akshayam organized back in May to pray for all the departed souls. We lost quite a few people, not just in our community, but we were praying for the community at large, the global community. Moksha Deepa was lit by Sivachariyar uncle here with us today. Dr. Ramai Surkar gave a few words, condolences to the families, and the priests were chanting mantras specifically written for the memorial. And Shruti here has sung beautiful songs, peaceful songs, to bring some closure. And we did roughly 5 weeks of COVID donations to all the first responders in so many hospitals. Elmhurst Hospital, we gave it to Presbyterian, Mount Sinai, Nassau Community Center. And we did it for about 5 weeks because we really want to stand with the community. These people have put their lives on the line to protect mine and yours. So the temple canteen arranged for everything, and Akshayam helped to deliver the items to these hospitals. So I can end my share screen now. And the main reason I wanted to share this information with you is because that's a misconception I kind of want to break, that for you to be part of Akshayam, you have to be religious or you have to be knowledgeable about the religious rituals, and it's not really the case. If you're interested in photography, for example, or filmmaking, or you want to create a more eco-friendly environment in the canteen, literally anything you may think that is not valuable as a valuable contribution to the temple, I can guarantee you it definitely is. So I encourage all of you to reach out to me, any of my fellow Akshayam members. You can chat with us on Facebook or send us an email. Or actually, if you see one of us around in the temple, please approach us and talk to us about how you can contribute to the Akshayam team. We would love to connect with you. So thank you for giving me that time, Sivachariyar uncle. I apologize for interrupting. So I want to finish off our segment by asking you the very important question, the elephant in the room. What is going to happen with Ganesh Chaturthi? It's starting on Friday. How are we going to be celebrating it?
Everyone is very eager to know about Chaturthi, because it used to be a very huge festival which attract not only of people of Hindu faith, people of all other faith also. They come and join us and to celebrate the Chaturthi, and it's a grand festival of this religious freedom we have in this part of the country. Okay, it's very popular for multi-faith people in this location, and we'll be missing this year, especially because of this situation. We have to still perform. As I told you initially, we cannot, because we need energy, we need the grace of God, we need the blessings of Mahavallabha Ganapati. So he is another, we have to pray him continuously, irrespective of what is happening around. So as per the within the limited code of conduct as per the Agama, we will be doing in a revised schedule or a modified schedule this time. And of course, without foregoing any major rituals with that. And priests will be performing. Everything, priests will continue to perform all the rituals, but unfortunately, it will be within the closed door environment. And people will be allowed to come after the rituals are over. People can come safely and have darshan. Darshan is one of the important thing. Darshan, and they can do archana, and they can take prasadam. Those things are possible, but we have given time schedule for each of this. So one can go through the schedule, darshan time, archana time, puja time. Everything is we have displayed in the website. One can see, and all the days, all the Navadina Brahmotsvam days, the special Abhishekam can be watched by people sitting at home. And every day is Alankaram, which is one of the major attraction of the temple. So everybody very eager to know what is today's Alankaram for Moolavar, what is today's Alankaram for Utsavar, will continue this time. We are going to do that Alankaram and Abhishekam, which can be viewed by people safely sitting at home. Everything can be watched virtually. And due to the restriction and regulations, we cannot permit more people in the Yagasala to sit. And normally another thing is like Chaturlaksha Japa used to be another attraction, and everybody wanted to chant along with the priest Chaturlaksha Japam. But this time it will be done only by the priest without the devotees. So we will try to do it ourselves in the Yagasala. The Homam and Japam will be done by us. And of course, we will have opportunity of viewing the Yagasala sitting at home, and not all days, but at least 4 days in between. We have wherein we will be doing the online chanting of prayers just directly in the Yagasala. So people can view from their home. They can view the Yagasala, and they can also chant together along with the priest, which will happen virtually on online. And people can also perform the Swarna Gauri Vrata and Mritige Ganapati Puja, and even the puja by children can be done just sitting at home. And we will be guiding everyone how to perform this in thing. So this also, because of the live streaming and virtual puja is happening, people across the continent can do it now. Earlier, people have to come and sit in the mantapa and do it. But now, because of this opportunity, now it has given us more opportunity for more people to join virtually and perform it with the guidance of the priest. And unfortunately, there are few things which we will not be able to perform. Is like, we have to forego the Rathayatra, which attracts huge crowd all along the Rathayatra path, and no Prakara Utsavams, and dance and music, which we used to do it through Navasandhi pujas, and all the cultural events will be happening again virtually. And I think, Abhiram, you should explain what kind of cultural event that we are going to do. Here again, it is not just here, people even across the globe, the cultural events are going to happen. And lastly, people also keep away, they want to have the blessing of the Gomata. So unfortunately, we will not be able to bring Gomata, and we will do it symbolically in the temple. So cultural events are going to be there. You can tell more about the cultural puja.
Yes, definitely. Thank you for telling us about the modifications for Ganesh Chaturthi. Obviously, with the current situation, it is impossible to control the crowd, and it's not safe to do so. And the most important thing is, although we're all religious, we want to make sure that the safety and security of the health of the staff members and also the devotees is always kept in check. And so, if not for this year, we'll do it grander next year. Nothing to worry about.
But you need to understand one thing. Sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
We still have a slot for people to come and get the glimpse of the Alankara, have an opportunity to come into the cosmic energy there in the temple, and they can still have darshans. and they can still have the prasadams. They are still allowed within the given slot.
Yes, and I encourage everybody to check the website. It's really important that you check the website. I think everybody here knows what the website is, but it's important to check the website because every day after the Alankaram is completed, Abhishekam and Alankaram is completed in the morning, the temple will be open for you to come in and get the darshan. So again, based on the video, you can see all the steps that you would have to please take in order to enter the temple. I think a maximum of 30 people will be allowed at one time, and volunteers will be, 1 or 2 volunteers will be there to guide you. And you can do an Archana outside in the Yagashala area. And I also want to give a pitch to the pujas that you can take part at home through Zoom. And so especially, I'm not biased, but the children's puja in particular, it's really important. Growing up, I love the children's pujas because it always allowed me to connect in a different level, because I can just, do the puja according to what I would like to do rather than just observe. There's an added benefit of participating, actually. But I just want to say 2 things, right? Sivachariyar, please correct me if I'm wrong. If I have difficulty obtaining the puja materials, I can come into the temple to collect them?
Yes, we have given the details about how these pujas can be performed at home. Right. We have given the list of items that one have to keep it ready before the puja commences. And if they have any difficulties, they are always welcome to come to the temple and take the material. And of course, they have to come not at the 11th hour, but before the deadline. They should come and pick up the material from the temple and ensure they have every material available. And we have also given options, because there are quite chances are there that if they don't get material, they get it from the temple. But if they gives sufficient time, we can even mail it to them.
Sure. Yeah. Especially because the celebrations are going to be starting on Friday.
Yes.
It is important that everybody, again, I put the link up there, everybody goes onto the website and just reads what information, what material you need to have to do the puja at home. And you can call the temple, you can email us to ask your questions and have everything ready. And there are going to be deadlines the last time in which you can sign up for this for administrative purposes, for us to send you the Zoom link and things like that. So please check the website to see how you can participate. And also, Uncle, we can also donate dravyas and things like that, right? Like milk and flowers and fruits if we leave it.
You brought up the point. It's very important thing, temple or being is supported by devotees. So obviously, even to conduct this, we need support from the all devotees. And the sponsorship details are also given in the website. They can choose what they want to sponsor. But when they are coming in person, if they want to bring some material, suppose they want to bring some material for the Yagasala, they want to bring some materials like flowers or fruits, but not Naivedyam. No cooked food are allowed. People cannot bring food items to the temple. They can maximum bring in milk cans or flowers or fruits. And of course, if they want, they can bring ghee for the Yagasala. No cooked foods are allowed to be, will not accept it. Of course, all these things, we have a designated place. They have to drop it. Security will guide them where they have to drop it, and it will be sanitized. And then after proper sanitizing, it will be taken for the respective pujas.
Okay, perfect. I had another question. Usually we love to get the prasadam after the Chaturthi celebrations, but can we get prasadam after we get darshan this year as well?
Yes, very much. We have, we don't have, we are not going to have a very big counter like yesteryears, but definitely everyone, soon after the pujas happening, when the people are allowed, it will be given to every person. Prasadam will be given to everyone.
That's great. And another question that I had was, suppose you're not able to physically come into the temple to do an Archana. How do we go about doing that? Can we get something, can we pick something up later, or can something be mailed to our houses?
Okay. See, except pujas like, for example, if somebody sponsors Modaka Archana, for example, so they will get prasadam, but they cannot expect Modaka to be sent. But if somebody sponsors for Archana and other pujas, everyone will get prasadam, but like certain things like this, so because we are going to have a 1008 Modak Archana for Ganesha on the Chaturthi day evening. You can see it virtually. And it will be difficult for us to send the Modaga to them, but we will definitely send Prasadam, which will be like Vibhuti Kunkumam and Raksha at the end. Raksha cannot be given at the end, only and after the Mahapurnahuti, we can send Raksha. So all the people, whoever is sponsored, the Prasadam will be mailed only after the end of the Brahmotsavam, because so they will have the opportunity to get the Raksha also. Otherwise, we will send only Vibhuti and Kungumam Prasadam.
Makes sense. Great. Thank you. And I just want to, I forgot to mention before, but on Saturday, we're going to have a very special program by Spurti Rao. She's a prodigy.
Very important.
Live on Facebook and YouTube. And I really encourage everybody to join and hear her singing. She's going to do it specifically for Ganesh Chaturthi this year. And she's going to be tuning in from India. So it's important that people join and support her as well and support the temple.
She is a very young child prodigy from Bangalore. She will be singing for us in odd time to suit our timing here. So I wish everyone will love to see it.
Definitely. So we'll definitely do that. Just to wrap up, we're running a little bit short on time, but this was really great. Thank you so much, Sivasri, Ravi, Vaidyanaat, Sivachariyar uncle, for taking the time out of your busy schedule. You must have a lot to plan still for Friday to start. We really appreciate it. And as a quick summary of what we've just been discussing for the past 50 odd minutes, is that the temple, despite COVID, despite all the other restrictions that have been placed, has continued to do the pujas, whether it is with the witness of the devotee or not. They've continued to do the pujas that cannot be interrupted. And that is really great to see. And we spoke a little bit about Ganesh Chaturthi this year and all the different modifications, along with Akshayam and joining the team. And again, I invite everybody to join us starting Friday. All the information of when you can enter the temple is found on our website. So please check that to stay most updated. And please, please, please log on to our website to sign up for the Zoom pujas so that you can participate directly from your houses. So with that, I'll leave you, Sivachariyar uncle. Thanks again so much for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We welcome everyone during the visiting hours and have the blessings of Mahavallabha Ganapati.
Great. Thank you so much.
Namaste.
Take care, everyone.